Now, no other holiday can pump out movies like Jolly Old Christmas Time. New ones pop up each year. Some of them are good, a lot of them are not, but they deliver all the traditional cliches we've come to know and, in some cases, love from holiday movies. Some of my favorite Christmas movies, however, are the ones that are completely unconventional, the ones that just break many traditions of the holiday in the process of telling their story. I have 10 of them selected here, so let's get into the spirit of the holidays and dive into some Christmas hits. We're kicking this list off with a full-throttle buddy comedy when former stoner buddies Harold and Kumar will team up to find a replacement after burning down Harold's father-in-law's cherished Christmas tree in A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas from 2011, starring Kal Penn, John Cho, Neil Patrick Harris, and Danny Trejo as the father-in-law. Harold and Kumar would not be the first comedic franchise to give their third entry a holiday twist to prevent the laughs from getting stale, but I still think A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas was successfully able to accomplish that. This movie gives you all the raunchy and lewd humor that you know and love from Harold and Kumar, and it infuses the entire film with just a charming Christmas spirit. The plot of burning Harold's father-in-law's tree down is comically ridiculous, and their wild adventure through the night to find a replacement is just vintage adventure comedy, from beer pong to win a tree, to shooting Santa out of the sky, to a spectacle-filled holiday number from MPH. This movie is just loaded with Christmas energy, but without all the usual traditions. Instead, you get the charm of Cho and Penn and a full-throttle sense of humor that just delivers all the antics and adventures that you just know and love from Harold and Kumar, while also delivering plenty of Christmas feels. Next up is another favorite comedy of mine about a couple of guys working as security guards who throw a Christmas party to raise money because a thief dressed as Santa broke into their house, stole their presents, stole their rent money, and Day-Day's baby picture in Friday After Next from 2002, starring Ice Cube, Mike Epps, John Witherspoon, Terry Crews, Cat Williams, and a bunch of other familiar faces. Much like National Lampoon's Vacation and the last movie we just talked about, the Friday franchise also took their third entry into the Christmas season with a textbook feel-good comedy that just delivers a holiday charm all to its own. This film kicks off with Craig and Day-Day getting robbed by Santa Claus on Christmas Eve morning, and from there, this fast-moving little comedy just throws an endless array of humorous side characters at you. It just has everyday plot lines and a holiday soundtrack that you'll want to sing along to. Sure, this movie is lacking in plot development and it is overly simplistic, but it also shows that a simple idea can just result in a laugh-out-loud movie when you rely on the sense of humor in the writing and just an ensemble collection of funny characters, from Mr. Jones and Uncle Elroy's bickering to Mole and his hairy neck, Damon to Money Mike to the Jerry curled up Pinky. This movie has no shortage of hilarious characters doing silly things, and it just builds a jovial Christmas charm that'll just have you wanting to rewatch it as soon as it's over. We're jumping into the world of horror for this next movie about a boy that's having a bad Christmas. So bad, in fact, he inadvertently summons a festive demon to his home during family dinner nights, causing all hell to break loose in Krampus from 2015, starring Adam Scott, Toni Collette, Allison Tolman, and MJ Anthony. The holiday season would not be complete, to me at least, without a couple of horror movies, and Krampus is a surprisingly enjoyable one. This horror comedy is effective at delivering frightening holiday scares as Krampus unleashes on this stranded family, but it also is able to deliver some effective comedy, from the tightly written dialogue delivering plenty of family snark to the writing of the story delivering things like a world-class kitchen battle with a batch of gingerbread cookies that come to life. This movie is just a riot. It's a vibrant, high-energy horror comedy that goes all in on delivering a violent horror movie with many layers of humor and a charming holiday atmosphere to just drape over the top of everything, from the cold winter settings to the holiday visuals to the great ensemble cast of familiar faces. Krampus really weaves all the right pieces. It's a movie you can easily sit back and find yourself engaged in, and with a PG-13 rating, it has larger audience appeal. Now, this movie touches on almost every genre when a thief mistaken as an actor is sent out to Hollywood to train with a PI, but quickly gets roped into a darkly comical murder mystery involving a struggling actress in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, starring Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer, Michelle Monaghan, and Corbin Burnson. To me, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is just one of those movies you can easily find yourself consumed with and entertained by. There's a charming neo-noir vibe to this crime caper that's at the core of the story. I think the writing is filled with a lot of sharp, clever banter and just smart humor overall, and I think the performances from Kilmer and Downey are just fantastic. I think both Kilmer and Downey Jr. are at their near best here. Their comedic timing is flawless. I think each has just a great sense of humor that really complements the other for this movie. I think Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a grounded but at the same time highly eccentric film, and it's just very engaging from the aspect of the plot progression to the characters to the timely delivery of the humor that really fuels the undercurrent of the entire film. This movie gets a little bit serious, gets a little bit violent, but it's always humorous. This movie goes off the rails in all the ways you would hope for, and you never really know where it will go next. But as I said, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang just comes back down to the greatness of Kilmer and Downey Jr. as a duo in this movie, and with Shane Black's propensity for setting his films during Christmas, it has a subtle holiday spirit as well. Next up is one of my all-time favorite comedies. It's a dark comedy about a couple of con men who pose as Santa and an elf at the mall so they can rob department stores on Christmas Eve, but this Christmas they run into a problem when Santa befriends a lonely kid in 2003's Bad Santa, starring Billy Bob Thornton, Bernie Mac, Lauren Graham, Tony Cox, and John Ritter. Now, this movie may be too much for some of you, but in my opinion, whoever it was that decided to put Billy Bob Thornton in a Santa Claus suit is a freaking comedic genius. I love this movie. It's wrong in all the right ways. The last thing you want from a movie with a concept like this is hesitation, and Bad Santa pulls zero punches. It flies out of the gate and just hits you with waves of amazingly crass, vulgar, and raunchy, and at times clever humor that could only come from the brilliance of Thornton in this role. I think the overall plot of posing as Santa and an elf to rob a department store is a grounded but still highly comical con. It gives this movie an opportunity to actually provide a story of substance to connect all the intense comical focus. There's a quick pace to this movie. It's filled with laughs, and I think the supporting cast is great. I think Tony Cox just pairs perfectly with Thornton as criminal partners. Then you get Bernie Mac and John Ritter both delivering laughs of their own to make this the perfect holiday hit to watch when the kids crash out. Coming up next is a much lighter comedy and a movie that really did surprise me when I first watched it. It's about a 10-year-old boy living in mid-80s Chicago who sets out on the holiday mission of a lifetime to acquire the newest state-of-the-art gaming system that's taking the world by storm in 8-Bit Christmas from 2021, starring Winslow Fegley, Shay Tafari, Neil Patrick Harris, June Raphael, and Steve Zahn. This recently released movie actually really surprised me. I watched it when I was a film critic and I thoroughly had fun with it. I loved the holiday adventure that it delivered. Now, sure, this movie is filled with a lot of traditions, but it does manage to skew a lot of them just enough to kind of deliver its own holiday twist on things. I think 8-Bit Christmas is very much like a modern retelling of A Christmas Story, with Ralphie's Red Ryder air rifle being swapped out for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's like a modern movie with a throwback kids adventure vibe to it that has a slight John Hughes feel with its 80s Chicago settings. The performances from the younger cast are all great for the needs of these roles. They really do feel like a group of 80s kids, the era when we all played outside and our lives absolutely lived through the neighborhood. It really enables this just charismatic Christmas movie to do what it should, and that is conjure the memories we had as kids at Christmas time in the 80s and all the magical feels that that time delivered. This holiday stoner comedy centers on three lifelong friends who always reunite on Christmas, which is something that's gotten more difficult as they've grown into an adult, but on this Christmas Eve they will reunite for one last time to search the city of New York for the holy grail of parties in The Night Before from 2015, starring Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Now, The Night Before doesn't really do anything new in the genre of the drug and sex-fueled adult comedies. The plot is simple enough, and many of the subplots are familiar as well, yet the chemistry between Rogen, Gordon-Levitt, and Mackie is just picture perfect for these characters to effectively sell the friendship at the core of this story, and from there it's just a barrage of laughs. The writing captures a strong comedic sense of humor. It sets up just one wild scenario after the other to result in a highly engaging comedy with plenty of Christmas charm. The Night Before touches on some of the traditions of the holiday as well, but very much like a very Harold and Kumar Christmas, this movie is just relentless in mocking much about the holiday to hilarious results as these three friends search for the party of all parties while coming to grips with the state of their current lives. This movie doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it delivers a wildly humorous comedy and plenty of fun buddy charm for the holiday. We're jumping back into the horror genre for this classic 70s holiday slasher about a group of sorority girls on Christmas break who are terrorized by a mysterious killer in 1974's Black Christmas, directed by Bob Clark, starring Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder, Andrea Martin, and John Saxon. Many would consider Black Christmas to be one of the first slasher movies ever, and when watching, you can see how much of an influence this movie had on Carpenter when he was making his horror classic Halloween. I think Black Christmas is filled with a lot of suspense and unnerving spots of tension and gory spots of pure horror, all the stuff you want, but I think it's really the ability of this story to connect the quiet moments between the killing that really ramps up the tension and makes it such a great atmospheric horror gem. Then with a Christmas setting, it gives you that ominous, wintry, cold vibe while watching these sorority sisters trying to deal with a killer lurking all around them. I think the direction is skilled. It's able to make this sorority house a great playground for all the horror mayhem. The first-person perspective from the killer is just classic horror awesomeness, and the performances from the cast elevate the characters. Nowadays, everything you see in this movie has been done time over and time again, but they were certainly fresh and unique in Black Christmas. This holiday rom-com follows an independent, free-spirited, child-free couple that just want to go on vacation to Fiji for Christmas, but when they get fogged in, they end up having to visit their divorced parents, meaning that they're going to have 4 Christmases to deal with. From 2008, starring Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon, Mary Steenburgen, Robert Duvall, Sissy Spacek, Jon Voight, and a bunch of other familiar faces. Now, I have no doubt as a huge Vince Vaughn fan that I probably enjoyed this movie more than a lot of other people do, but I contend that the unconventional holiday moments blended with more of the traditional themes towards the end of this movie do make 4 Christmases a fun time filled with all the absurd family dysfunction that we connect to the holiday. I think Vaughn and Witherspoon are a great duo as this couple not so subtly trying to avoid the next step in their relationship. Plus, with both sets of parents being divorced, there are multiple Christmas gatherings, each with their own tone that spotlight just the hilarity of the season, each in their own way. The supporting cast is fantastic. They just inflate all of these characters from Duvall to Steenburgen, Spacek, Voight, Favreau. Everybody adds to the ridiculousness and to the charm, from the Robert Duvall-led hillbilly clan and ultimate indoor fighting to Witherspoon's mom and her cougar den to Vaughn's childhood friend dating his mom. There is nonstop laughs and holiday charm to be found in this little forgotten comedy. This comedy crime caper centers on a shady lawyer who plans a mini heist of some local mobsters, and he pulls it off. But when an ice storm blankets the small town he's in and his stunning strip club owner partner has a plan of her own, it will be the longest Christmas Eve ever in The Ice Harvest from 2005, starring John Cusack, Billy Bob Thornton, Connie Nielsen, and directed by Harold Ramis. Now, I will concede this movie does have a couple of issues. It gets a bit too convoluted for its own good in the later acts, and it does try to incorporate a few too many subplots. However, I think the appealing dark charm coming from this cast of unsavory characters makes The Ice Harvest a great pick for those who want an adult comedy with a strong holiday setting, but a plot that's doing its own thing. Cusack's a lawyer who steals $2 million from a local mobster. His friend Thornton, who is an upstanding pornographer, agrees to hold on to the money. Then an ice storm hits on Christmas Eve, and things that can go wrong will go wrong to frequent comedic effects. I love Randy Quaid as the mob boss. I think Connie Nielsen is a great wild card. She's stunning. The chemistry between Cusack and Thornton is just perfectly dialed in. They're just a riot in this movie. This is a film filled with flawed characters who can't trust one another, which of course results in one comical problem after the other. I do think the pacing in The Ice Harvest is a bit uneven, but when this movie is dialed in, Ramis' direction inside this genre he's not too familiar with delivers a fun holiday treat. And that concludes this little video diving into some entertaining holiday movies. If you guys are interested, last Christmas I did a couple of videos. I did one top 10 Christmas movie list for the 80s. I did another one for the 90s. I will make sure to leave them linked in this video if you'd like to take a ride back into the past with some holiday classics. Thank you guys as always so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I greatly appreciate all of your viewership. I hope you and yours have a very safe, happy, and warm holiday. My next video will be coming soon. I hope to see you guys all there, and until then, movies never say die.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?